And I like to remind people and encourage them to use the ICOSA Hedron system as like a prelude to what is to come with PulseChain and the ratio trading that's going to occur. So there are going to be times when PulseX, PHEX are extremely undervalued in terms of one another. And this was a topic that came up in our monthly AMA session the other night was, how are you going to decide how to ratio trade pre-bridge, right? Like if I have so much PHEX but not enough pulse, or I have a lot of PulseX but not enough pulse, how do I determine what's a good ratio, right? And I think like a good way of looking at that is that first you have to start out with the base numbers, which is 40,000 people sacrificed for PulseChain, 140,000 people sacrificed for PulseX. So the people holding PulseX, there's 3 times more of them than there are people holding PulseChain. So just the common thing to think about is it's 2 cups of water. One cup is overfilling with water. The other one's just like got like half full. And so like the water is going to fall out of the PulseX cup, and it's going to try to create an equilibrium between the PulseX and the P and the PulseChain pairs. Whether that's, so the natural ratio should be 3 to 1. It's based on the user adoption, right? So there should be 3 to 1, should be like a natural ratio from the start. But I fear that so many people are going to exit their PHEX positions and their PulseX positions to get more exposure to PulseChain, that PulseChain is going to be so wildly overvalued relative to PulseX and Hex on PulseChain. And then that is going to be your key moment if you're a PulseChain holder, that you're going to, and once you start seeing ratios of like, I can get 6, 8, or 9 or 10 PHEX to my one pulse, or 6, 8, 9, or 10 PulseX to my one pulse. That's the equivalent of doing like 3, 4, 5x in terms of dollar value. And so that's going to be where you're going to look to want to trade it back in, right? So